Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope you're all well and that you're all having a great day. I thought I'd take some time out again as well to discuss the future of Ethereum. I made one a couple of days ago, if not a week or so ago, where I spoke about the future of Bitcoin. I'm going to try and I'm not going to go as in-depth as I could possibly do, but it's more of a general overview. I want to try and see if I can hit the next couple of years as to where the cryptocurrency space is going, and also for specific coins, so that people have a bit of a greater understanding of exactly what's happening in the cryptocurrency space. Typically, sometimes when we hear about projects or cryptocurrency things that are happening, a lot of people tend to be more focused on the price rather than the actual future applications of the technology, in that I understand that people are in it for the money. Get it, got it, good. But this is technology that is expected to completely change the way that we actually live, the way that we transact with our friends and family and other people around the world, and also how the world changes their thought process on the future of money. So today we're going to focus on the future of Ethereum and where Ethereum is supposed to put the world within the next couple of years. So first thing that we're going to talk about, so it's going to be kind of like a timeline, if you will, from, let's say, this very day to around 2 or 3 so years, give or take, into the future. One of the things that we actually have to look forward to for Ethereum, one of the things that we've actually been waiting for about 2 years now, is something called Casper. And to make it as simple as possible, right now, Bitcoin and Ethereum run on something called proof of work, where I'm sure you've seen all those gigantic computers inside of those gigantic warehouses, where they're all linked up together, and people are trying to create as much cryptocurrency as possible. The creator of Ethereum and the co-creators of Ethereum and many other people in the cryptocurrency space have stated that they think that this is not efficient for the future of cryptocurrency. So what they're trying to work towards is something called proof of stake, where pretty much you no longer have to use those computers or those warehouses. You'll be able to use a normal computer, your own computer, where your own computer will be able to do the work pretty much in order to create new coins that we have on the network. This has been expected for quite some time. There are a lot of other projects in the cryptocurrency space that already use proof of stake. But the thing that we have now, at least at the time of me making this video, is that a number of cryptocurrency projects are announcing that it's not only very difficult to make proof of stake, that is, to not use the gigantic amount of computers, but that it's also mathematically impossible to get it right. This is why we have a couple of other projects that have claimed that they have it correct, that they know how to do it, but it has still not been implemented yet on Ethereum. But when this does happen, it's expected that the price of Ethereum, talking about price, will also raise accordingly, as this will take away focus from the people who are or have been in control of the Ethereum network for quite some time, and those are the people who mine and are validating the transactions on the network. Another thing, these are all going to be batched together because we've been talking about them for quite some time. They're still not out, but these are all things that, at least now, like I said, are things that we are definitely looking forward to, especially if you have been in the Ethereum space. If you like Ethereum as a coin or a project, this is definitely something that definitely should be interesting you if you are into Ethereum. Raiden has been spoken about for quite a couple of years as well. It actually dropped off the face of the crypto sphere sometime around the end of 2017, maybe almost the entirety of 2018. No one's really talking about Raiden anymore. But Raiden has been something that has been touted as something that will help the Ethereum network be able to expand in ways that we can't even begin to imagine. It says the Raiden network is an off-chain scaling solution for performing ERC20 compliant token transfers on the Ethereum blockchain. It is Ethereum's version of the Bitcoin Lightning Network, enabling near instant, low-fee, scalable, and privacy-preserving payments. All of these things are very important, and I'll try and get to one of the other topics in a couple of seconds as well. For those who do not know, Bitcoin's Lightning Network is kind of like it sounds. Lightning moves quick. If you have this on top of Bitcoin, which they're already starting to build right now, it is believed that Bitcoin will be able to handle millions of transactions per second. Raiden, along with a number of other things that we're also going to be discussing that should hopefully be coming sometime around early or mid 2019 are going to expand Ethereum's network in a way that the creator of Ethereum has stated that Ethereum could possibly be able to handle not only 100,000 transactions per second. He said anywhere between 1 to 10 million transactions per second when we have all of the upgrades fully implemented. As in, so a lot of people, what it comes down to is that when we have a lot of off-chain scaling and or side chain scaling, it sounds exactly like it is, a chain that's on the side of the main chain. We will have certain upgrades that will deal with small payments and certain for large ones, as in they don't all have to go through the exact same chain at the exact same time. If you have payments or if people are trying to use Ethereum in the real world and you are buying something that say costs 50 cents, you can use the smaller channel as if, rather if you are using or sending something that costs 50 million, you can then use one of the larger off-chain and or on-chain solutions that we are going to hopefully very soon be having on the Ethereum network. Plasma is probably one of the most important things that we need right now. Plasma is also being developed not only by the Ethereum team, but also being developed by the people who make Omise Go. Ethereum's Plasma introduced a novel scaling solution that could enable Ethereum to reach many more transactions per second than currently possible. Like payment channels in the Bitcoin Lightning Network, Plasma is a technique for conducting off-chain transactions while relying on the underlying Ethereum blockchain to ground its security. It's believed that we will have, or rather we thought we would have around this time, Plasma and Casper dropping around the exact same time, and that not only would Ethereum have moved from this energy-intensive solution for creating new coins, that we would have also had a solution between Plasma and Raiden, where Ethereum would be able to process millions of transactions per second. At the moment, for what it's worth, for those who do not know, what it comes down to is that it takes a while, obviously, to build these solutions. The things that are going to be built right now, the updates that we are waiting for, are not things that are going to arrive on the network and then simply disappear a couple of weeks later. What we have, or what we should one day have between Plasma and Raiden and also Casper, will be on the network ideally for another 100 years. So your children will probably be using these scaling solutions as well. And this is why it is very important to get them right and make sure that they are correct the first time. A lot of other coins who have claimed that they are quicker and or faster or have higher speed or scalability than Ethereum or many other of the other blockchains, especially Bitcoin, have stated that they had somehow found a solution for what Ethereum is currently going through. And when people have tested their network, some of them were faster, yes, but they weren't anywhere near capable of handling the 1 million transactions per second that they said that they were able to do. As it stands now, if you read a bit deeper and you read what the Ethereum team and also many other highly regarded crypto projects, I'll say it that way right now, when they talk about the actual scaling solution, they all say that it's actually a very big problem. It's difficult to do, but when they do finish it, it's pretty much a digital race to the finish line, because whoever ends up figuring out this problem and can actually solve and have a network that not only transacts 1 million transactions per second, anything higher than 50,000 to 60,000 transactions per second is already matching Visa and MasterCard. And this is kind of what everybody wants. You want to be able to take over or replace the current financial system that we have right now with solutions that are on the blockchain and that are decentralized, because the moment you can do this, there then is no logical reason to have to continue using Visa or MasterCard or the SWIFT system, simply because we have something that is quicker, that is more decentralized, and that doesn't have a single point of failure. And this is kind of the point of all of these upgrades. We had news a couple of months ago from Vitalik that the way that I at least understood it and the way that the article read, or the articles read, that we had months ago, is that the scaling solutions that we just kind of spoke about a tiny bit are taking so long that it is believed that instead of having a direct proof of stake mining solution, that we're probably going to have some type of a hybrid in 2019, wherein instead of the entire proof of work solution, or rather the way that they are mining crypto right now, being completely taken over or dismissed, we will have for a while at least a bit of a proof of stake, proof of work hybrid on the Ethereum network, wherein you can or still will be able to use your gigantic mining rigs and you will also be able to mine cryptocurrencies on your computer or through the use of a proof of stake mining pool. So this is all very interesting. As far as the numbers and stuff like that, a lot of things have been kind of thrown around and no one really knows how much you would need as far as proof of stake. For, I guess, to kind of clarify what it is, instead of having to use large amounts of computers in order to do the processing and the validations on the network, you'll be able to show your stake, or how many coins that you actually have on the network, in order to create new coins. The idea is that if you had over 1,000 Ethereum, you would be able to stake your coins onto the network, and this would help them produce new coins from you showing your stake in the network. However, as the price of Ethereum, this was discussed around 2016, as the price of Ethereum went up from $8 to $1,300 in 2017. A lot of people thought, I don't have 1,000 Ethereum. How am I supposed to also take part in this fantastic thing if I don't have enough coins to be able to do so? So there were numbers thrown around, and I think it came to, I couldn't find the exact article. I think Vitalik said somewhere around 100 Ethereum would be sufficient to be able to stake your coins on the network, but nothing has been confirmed because we are still waiting for the actual implementation of this upgrade. But it kind of opens it up a bit more to people who aren't swimming in money to be able to, I mean, granted, 100 Ethereum, even at the current price, is still a hefty sum of money to be able to stake your claim on the network. Hopefully this will be able to be lowered as time goes on. It would be nice if people even who are holding just one or even half of an Ethereum are still able to have a bit of a side income, if you will. Who knows exactly what's going to happen, but for a long time we thought that we would switch over exclusively to proof of stake, and it seems now we are going to have some type of a hybrid on the network, and people are saying that they're keeping proof of work as a bit of a backup, as proof of work is seen as more secure, because once again, no one apparently knows exactly how to get proof of stake right mathematically. That is not to say that other coins or projects haven't already figured it out, as a number of other ones have already stated that they have definitely figured this out mathematically. Along this entire thing, we have another upgrade that we have. For those who haven't caught on yet, Ethereum has made a lot of promises when it comes to upgrades and things that were going to happen. I think, me myself personally, that the cryptocurrency space moved a lot quicker than people creating these things actually thought that they would. And this is why it has not only taken so long. I think these things normally would have taken 2, 3, 4, 5 years by themselves. But a lot of pressure has been put on the blockchain teams in order to be able to create these solutions a lot quicker, because people are only really caring about the prospect of money, or being able to brag that your coin or your project or your blockchain that you believe in is a lot quicker than another one's. Along with this, we have something called sharding, which is, a lot of people think that word is funny. What sharding pretty much comes down to is that they are trying to find another way to be able to not only speed up transactions, but also make the network a bit more private. Ethereum is probably going to be one of the very first major coins that actually has privacy things built on top of it. I had hopes for quite some time that Bitcoin would be able to do this, but it seems as of now that Ethereum is working on at least 5 different quickening solutions to make the network a lot more robust and to be able to scale quicker. But also on top of this, it comes down to privacy, as the people who, as I'll put it this way, Bitcoin does not have a face, whereas Ethereum does. Many of the other cryptocurrency projects that have launched over the last 2, 3, 4 years actually have a CEO and or someone who actually talks at conventions and is actually the face of Bitcoin, as no one knows exactly who the creator of Bitcoin is. There's no one to really talk about the entire topic of privacy, but Vitalik Buterin has actually been vocal in this many times. I think Vitalik is one of the very, 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 very few people or creators or coders in the cryptocurrency space who does not necessarily care exclusively about the money. Obviously, I mean, he's human, so he's definitely going to care about it. But he definitely wants to make sure that this is some type of a long-lasting legacy, and a part of it also belongs to the idea that decentralization is key, and that also people have control over their own money and what they do with it and how they are interacting with other people around the world. on that same topic, same exact thing when it comes to privacy, there's something called ZK snarks or zero knowledge snarks, however you kind of want to say it. This also comes down to, I think this is, if I'm not mistaken, has already been implemented onto Zcash. And this is, there are multiple things. These are kind of the largest ones that are really talked about, at least at the moment. Ethereum is probably, for what it's worth, after my own research and having read around for quite some time, as always, you should always be doing your own research. If you have 5 minutes in the day, if you are on the train, if you are on the bus and you have nothing else to do and you are sitting there looking outside, open up your phone, open up your tablet, and read a bit about what you have your money in. You should definitely be doing your own research as well onto the cryptocurrency projects that are out there. Privacy is going to be a major factor in the cryptocurrency space probably relatively soon, especially when we have governments and other agencies telling people that they are okay with them using Bitcoin because Bitcoin transactions can be tracked. If I'm not mistaken, I think there are around 2, 3, 4, 5, I want to say 3 different projects that are floating around right now where people are trying to initiate some type of beginning of privacy on the Ethereum network, because as crypto becomes bigger, as crypto continues to be integrated into the banking systems and also the stock markets around the world, eventually the coins that, how do I say this? Governments don't want privacy, and Ethereum is trying to make sure that they don't really care what governments think. They want to make sure that they are okay for the people. The entire idea about Ethereum is that they are very dedicated to making sure, while other things may be happening on the Ethereum network, other people may be trying to use them, what have you. The Ethereum team and other people who are building on top of Ethereum, which I think at this point it's supposed to be like thousands of people around the world, as it is decentralized and there's not one central authority, who are actually building on the Ethereum network. So I'm hoping, me at least, that we are going to have many different things on the Ethereum network in the future that makes sure that that transactions are completely private, or that there's some layer of security where you can't exactly tell exactly who's using it, when they're using it, and other things like that. It's great to have, the knowledge on the blockchain of exactly how much is being sent to a specific address, but that can also become very dangerous as governments are, or will eventually try to gather more control or keep control of finances around the world. Not to dig too much into that, but there are a lot of major names in the cryptocurrency space who wholeheartedly believe that within the next couple of years, we are going to see governments not only start to show cracks in their system, but also they're going to try and be able to control cryptocurrencies, as many of them don't see it as a threat and they're trying to make money off of it. But as the cryptocurrency space continues to spread and grows wider and more people go into the system, eventually people will only want to choose decentralized systems for their payment methods as opposed to centrally issued government currencies. And this is why we have things like this that are becoming huge topics in the cryptocurrency and especially in the Ethereum space. Another thing that's been mentioned, and this is, no one actually knows if this is going to happen. I personally hope that this is going to happen. We spoke about this a couple of times before. I may have touched on it. A very quick, or rather the easiest way to say this, is that whereas Bitcoin has a maximum of 21 million coins, XRP has a maximum of 100 billion coins, and they are deflationary as the price or the value. How do I say this? Sorry, I'm like little out of it. As the supply continues to decrease, there are many other coins that have a hard cap, or they have already reached a maximum amount of coins that are flowing around out there. Ethereum does not have one of these. The Ethereum supply is supposed to continuously increase. When Ethereum was first released a couple of years ago, Vitalik Buterin stated that he was okay with it was like a 1% inflation per year, simply because his idea was, and many other people on the Ethereum project, if you read back around 2015, 14, maybe late 2014, they said that the idea is that as many millions of coins of Bitcoin are completely lost, whether they be lost on old computers, people threw things out, people lost their private keys, these things are now stuck on the network as they cannot ever find their private keys once again. He said that he expected the same exact thing to happen on the Ethereum network, wherein people are going to start losing their coins. People will lose their laptops, people will lose their computers, people will lose their private keys, people will have them on websites and they just won't be able to get them off of decentralized exchanges once again. So the idea was to be able to create more Ethereum coins in order to make sure that everyone could have one. I guess that's the easiest way of kind of saying it. But during the last year and a half, there was someone who made a graph and they were showing that the rate of people actually losing their cryptocurrency has decreased by around 98% simply because in the beginning, people didn't really care about the price of Bitcoin when it was around 10, 15 cents. But the moment Bitcoin hit 1,200 and Ethereum hit around 10, 14, $15, people begin to care a bit more. Therefore, people are taking more active measures to be able to lock up their coins, hide their coins, put them on exchanges where they know the password. They hide the password in a piece of paper under their bed or wherever people are hiding pieces of paper that have passwords on them. Anyway, the point is, as Ethereum does not have a cap, Vitalik made a joke before, a couple of months ago, that there would be a cap on the Ethereum network. People thought it was a great idea. He said it was an April Fool's joke. Lo and behold, this is now a discussion, and this actually has to be discussed a lot quicker, simply because at the moment, Ethereum has 101 million tokens, very close to 102 million that are circulating around. Just a couple of months ago, we passed by the 100 million. I think we were actually at 98. I want to say 99.2 million around the time that he actually made that joke. And Ethereum supply is rising quite rapidly. And this is going to have to be discussed very quick, because what's going to end up happening is, if Ethereum does indeed in the future become one of the largest cryptocurrencies in the entire world, you cannot logically, mathematically, based on supply and demand, have an ever increasing supply, as people will start to devalue your currency and they won't see it as something that has a lot of longevity. Should we enter a world where this is discussed and this actually gets voted on, and we have an Ethereum network that it will actually only have, so let's say we actually hit 102 very soon, and by the time they have this discussion, we are around 107, 108 million. If only another 12 million Ethereum are going to be created, and it happens within a year and a half, and then there are no more Ethereum created, that is going to create a bull run like nothing we have ever seen in our entire lives, especially because Ethereum is still touted as one of the most promising cryptocurrency projects that we have out there. As of now, no one knows if this is going to happen. This is, I'm sure, being spoken about, but not as much as the other upgrades. The other upgrades, Vitalik has said, are taking precedence over everything else. He would rather have all of these implemented than even think about anything else. But at some point, it is expected all of these tabs up here should be happening around 2019, thus the future. But when all of these things happen, and we actually have all of these things on top of the Ethereum network, this would be a major discussion. I'm assuming the middle of 2019 this will happen, and I'm hoping that there's an actual hard cap, simply because, I mean, inflation isn't bad per se, especially one that is mathematically sound and that we can actually see and keep track of on the blockchain. But I think that for Ethereum's sake, I think it would be safe to create a hard cap, and other cryptocurrency projects in the space should then have some type of inflationary currency, even if it's only 0.5 and or 1% or 4% per year, as many other cryptocurrency projects are trying to do. On the same exact topic of future, what's expected to happen is, within the next couple of, let's say, months, or even potentially in 2019, as many people have not lost faith in 2018, but we spoke about before, we said, or rather I said, and I was telling you guys, I think 2018 is going to be it's an in-between year. It's definitely transitional. Prices have gone down. Institutional interest has definitely gone up. Crypto markets continue to dive towards the ground, and yet we still have potentially millions of extra people who have jumped into the cryptocurrency market. Last year, we had information that the CBOE was going to launch Bitcoin futures, and when this was happening, the Bitcoin price skyrocketed to around almost scratching the surface of $20,000. The CBOE has also announced that they are looking to try and launch Ethereum futures, as many other corporations have also announced that they are trying to do. The problem is that we know, or have seen, that when futures get, or rather were launched and attached to Bitcoin, this actually had a negative effect on the price of Bitcoin, because people were simply able to bet against the price of Bitcoin with millions, if not tens of millions, maybe $100 million across multiple markets. And when this happens, the Bitcoin price actually went down. But the problem is that the Bitcoin price is tied to every other coin, so the entire market also went down. Also, part of this is that if we have Ethereum futures, and there are a large number of heavy-handed investors who do not like Ethereum or are betting against Ethereum and they want Bitcoin's price to go up, they can simply bet against Ethereum in the futures markets. We had an article a couple of days ago. I can't remember the exact guy who said it anymore. He said he believes that Ethereum futures could be extremely detrimental to the price of Ethereum and could be extremely beneficial to the price of Bitcoin, as some of the pressure of people betting against Bitcoin will then be squeezed onto or on top of Ethereum. No one knows exactly if the CBOE is going to get in Ethereum futures. It is probably more than likely that it will happen, simply because the CBOE has been given special treatment when it comes to being able to launch things that are crypto related, as many other agencies have been rejected over the last 4 years, but the CBOE has been given the red carpet, what have you. The point is, this is going to happen at some point. What we actually need is Ethereum physical ETFs, wherein people are actually on the stock exchanges and other people in Wall Street or traditional finance are dealing in Ethereum, but they're actually buying and selling the actual token and or coin itself, and not just dealing with contracts that are going to be floating back and forth. But this is going to happen at some point. No one knows if it's going to happen in 2018 or the beginning of 2019, but this is something to look forward to and also be terrified of, because many other coins are also pegged to the price of Ethereum. And sometimes when Ethereum goes down, the rest of the market also tends to follow it. There's not a future where Ethereum isn't expected to be maybe not the number one creator of dApps, that is decentralized applications, but Ethereum is still expected to be one of the largest platforms in the entire world to be it's not a word, to be able to house and or have ICOs and applications on top of its platform. Apparently there are already 1,800 different dApps that are floating on top of Ethereum. When we do have these other applications, for those who do not know what CryptoKitties is, it is the largest application that we actually have on the Ethereum network right now, where you pretty much trade digital cats. When CryptoKitties first came to be, it slowed down the entire Ethereum network because it was so intense, really. So many people around the world were trading these cats, because some of the cats were actually trading for, I think one recently traded for like 180,000 Ethereum or something like that. And at the time, there was one of them that traded for around $500,000. So there was a lot of interest in CryptoKitties. It clogged up the network. The network was very slow. And this is why we have all of this talk right now about trying to make the Ethereum network quicker. When the Ethereum network is able to handle even 100,000 transactions per second, which if you calculate that is still extremely fast per minute, it is expected that Ethereum will continue to be the leader of dApps. As these at the moment, there are, I think the most amount of apps are actually built on top of Ethereum. Yeah, you can even see right here, CryptoKitties. We've spoken about CryptoKitties thousands and thousands of times before, but a lot of stuff is going to continue to be built on Ethereum. Ethereum apparently does not have the easiest coding language in the entire world. I think that was done on purpose, but it's still extremely popular. There are a lot of people who have a lot of money invested into the future of Ethereum's dApps. And this is something definitely to continue to expect. No one knows exactly where the killer app, that is the cryptocurrency app that takes crypto into the mainstream, is going to launch, but it's expected that it is either going to launch on EOS. A lot of people are betting that there is big money backing Ethereum, and therefore they are working on trying to find a way to be able to build applications on top of Ethereum that will become as big and as popular as Facebook, as Snapchat, and as Instagram. Definitely something to look forward to. I wonder where the Ethereum space is going to be when Ethereum is finally able and quick enough to be able to do all of these things, exactly if the marketing is going to be there. We were talking about marketing before. For some reason, a lot of people who have created these dApps, they look wonderful, they're great, they're maybe really fun. I haven't played a lot of them myself, but there's no marketing for a lot of these things, and people have to kind of figure them out by word of mouth. And that can be a bit difficult, especially in the cryptocurrency space. The overall purpose, or rather the end goal of Ethereum, is to make it a world computer. It's to make certain that the Ethereum network is completely connected and that everything kind of flows through it. The Ethereum hasn't moved away from its original idea, but people simply don't talk about it as much. It comes down to Ethereum wants to be a world computer. They want to be the internet. They want to be everything that everything else is flowing on top of. When you are going to a website, when you are opening up your phone, when you're going onto an app or a DApp, or you are creating something on the internet, they want it to flow through Ethereum, and they want Ethereum to be this hyper gigantic mega computer that is connecting everyone around the world and that everyone is pretty much using. This can, of course, become possible if you are, or your network is able to do 100 million transactions per second. When that's going to happen, nobody knows, but the thought of the Ethereum world computer has been around for quite some time, and this was, you barely ever hear anyone call Ethereum the world computer anymore. You hear it sometimes, depending on which news outlet that you're looking at. But the ultimate future of Ethereum is to be a world computer, in that everything they want to be, think of the internet, but on top of Ethereum, and everyone is just using Ethereum because it's so decentralized, and you have not only your money on the Ethereum network, but every single other website that you could possibly ever want. It's expected that at some point people are going to start making the famous and most useful websites that we have right now. 99.9% of them are not decentralized, so it's expected that someone at some point will make them, whether it be on top of Ethereum, no one knows, but we'll be able to use them on blockchains, and this will completely revolutionize how the world is seen, how we actually do things when it comes to not only finance, but how we talk to other people and how our information is stored and how we decide who can actually have access to our information. This is also something that's very important because we're having a lot of issues right now where people are realizing that other agencies are actually selling their information, and that is not something that many people want. So if we can in the future have control over this would also be quite good. And part of this as well is, I won't go over every country, I just can't, it's going to take forever. In the future for Ethereum, we know that the creator of Ethereum, his name is Vitalik Buterin, I'm pretty sure I said that before. He's actually from Russia, or I think his parents are from Russia, and he grew up in Canada, if I'm not mistaken, but he has had many discussions with the controllers, the rulers or the higher up people within Russia, and they have announced many times that they are thinking about building things on top of the Ethereum network. We had news at least a week ago from the time of me making this video that they have started putting information about I think like farming and stuff like that on top of Ethereum. And I said before, when you have instances like this where countries are saying that they're going to be using a platform, but that they're also going to be building and putting laws and other information on top of cryptocurrency blockchain, you're going to have an instance where it also becomes in the government's best interest to keep this blockchain safe and to also put money into its infrastructure to make sure that it does not fail. And this is also part of the reason why I'm not sure how many other people think this way, why I think that Ethereum definitely has a bright future. Even if only Russia was announcing that they planned on using it, this is extremely important to realize. Like I've always said, Ethereum, the crypto in general, is 9 years old. Ethereum is around 4 or 5 years old, and the fact that we have major, very powerful countries around the world who are announcing that they're going to be building on top of Ethereum and their blockchain, no one knows if they're going to be using the token. The blockchain becomes extremely valuable because of the information that is then built on top of it. This is also something to look forward to. I can't remember there were 2 other major countries who also announced Ethereum, that they were going to be building or using the Ethereum blockchain, or that they were going to be building a side chain that would be writing data as well on the Ethereum blockchain as it's flowing through the side chain. The point is, when you have things like this kind of speaks for itself, if you will, as to where Ethereum is going in the future. And that is despite even right now, this video is going to be extremely outdated. I hope in a year when prices are a lot higher. But even with the prices this low at the moment, it may seem like not a lot is happening on Ethereum or with Ethereum, but do not be fooled. There's a lot going on behind the scenes. There's a lot of money that has been pushed into Ethereum, and there are a lot of very powerful and rich people who are making sure that the Ethereum ecosystem is definitely going to survive. For the sake of not putting tens of thousands of different price predictions and things around there, some of the most I don't want to say ridiculous, because no one knows the price or what the prices are going to be. I think the most interesting quote, I'll put it that way, someone said that by 2020 Ethereum's market cap will be 10 times higher than Bitcoin's. It is still believed that at some point that when Ethereum has all of these things activated, because even Bitcoin's Lightning Network is expected to take around 2 years to be fully implemented, and if Ethereum can jump ahead in the race and by 2019 start implementing all of these things to be able to even have 500,000 transactions per second, that Ethereum's market cap will shoot past Bitcoin and that Ethereum will become the number one coin. If we have a future like this, we then have an Ethereum price that could, for what it's worth, mathematically, hit anywhere from 10,000 to 20,000. I think the craziest ones I think I've seen was that Ethereum would potentially hit around $100,000 per coin. I'm not exactly sure what that would take. But to be fair, if we have a Bitcoin price or predicted Bitcoin prices of around anywhere from $250,000 to 1 million to even 100 million, which is probably the wackiest of them all, I think it's fairly safe to say that if Ethereum hit 1,300 before last year, I think it's fairly safe to say, at least for me, that an Ethereum price of between 5 to 10,000 is definitely somewhere in the cards, especially when it was retail investors, normal people, who got the price up to 1,300. I think 10,000 is definitely possible. 50,000, I'm not too sure of, but there are a lot of people who still believe, like I said, even despite the price being this low, this is a year and a half away, and this is also supposed to be the time where Bitcoin is supposed to, according to Mr. McAfee, that Bitcoin will actually hit $1 million per coin. No one knows if that's going to happen at this point, but it will be quite interesting to see exactly how big Ethereum becomes, what exactly is going to happen with it. And this is, when you look for actual information on not like the future of Ethereum, but what is to come for the Ethereum network, you mainly only find information about like upgrades and other things that the developers are talking about and what they plan on building on top of it. There's never as much attention on Ethereum, or rather the future of Ethereum, as there is for Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin has had the time to grow to be able to have the more ridiculous price predictions under its wing. A lot of people talking about integration, but on the same exact topic of integration and people also using Bitcoin and other not crypto exchanges, but like stock exchanges and stuff like that using Bitcoin. If you pay attention, they also always mention Ethereum as well. Ethereum is pretty much going to be hip for quite some time with Bitcoin, as they both are expected to be two of at least some of the largest crypto projects that we will actually have, or that will ever be, which is something to think of, that we could possibly already have some of the largest coins that will maybe be around in around 100 years already in existence. That is something to definitely think of. Pretty much, like I said, I tried looking for something more in depth. It usually comes down to a lot of the talks that are actually happening with or about Ethereum usually come down to upgrades. The last year and a half has been both exciting and terrifying for Ethereum as the price skyrocketed. And also we have so much, I guess, to think about as the prices have been going down. A lot of people in the Ethereum project, I don't know if they're panicking, but there's definitely a huge focus on being able to get these upgrades out there so that the network can move a lot quicker, because you may have noticed the last couple of weeks recently, people have not been too kind to the Ethereum team or to the Ethereum network, because they're talking about constantly how slow that it moves. But this happens for everything. The internet was very slow. Every other thing that starts out at some point is extremely slow, and then it kind of picks up. But it looks like, at least for me, that the future of Ethereum, especially with a large number of upgrades that are going to not only make the network private, but also potentially push us to at least 1 million transactions per second, I think the future of Ethereum is extremely, extremely bright. I want to thank you all for watching and or listening. I hope you all are having a great day, morning, afternoon, and or evening, depending on where you are, wherever you might be. Thank you once again for all your support. I do appreciate it, and I will talk to you all soon. See you.